Hi, and thanks for joining. If you're new here, I'm Wendy and this is Nina's Jewels. My husband and I buy things at garage sales, thrift stores, flea markets, just about anywhere we can find things to sell online and flip for a profit. If that's content you're interested in, stick around. And make sure to hit that like button. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure to subscribe so you can be kept informed of all of our latest content. Today's video is going to be what sold for the week of June 18th through 24th. Let's get started. Well, sales started to pick up this week. Last week was our worst sales week of the entire year, but this week sales started to go up. So that's really good news. They definitely were still on the low side, but we are trending upwards. So that's what we like to see. The first thing that we sold was something right in time for 4th of July. And it was a glitter red, white, and blue patriotic theme eagle. It was about this big and it was like a wall decor item. The brand was Way to Celebrate, which I think is a Walmart brand. It was brand new with tags. We found this in the Goodwill bins. We had paid 94 cents for it and it sold for our full asking price of $16.99. Next up was a Monster High doll. The doll was Cleole, and we had gotten this in a bag of Barbie style dolls at the thrift store. I had picked this bag of dolls up because of the Monster High dolls in it. I don't remember how many Monster High dolls were in it, probably just this one, but that's why I picked this bag up. This doll sold for $13.29. Usually when something ends in 29 cents, it's because we had it on some kind of sale. So I probably had like a toy sale or a doll sale or something this particular month, and it sold on that promotion, or they used a coupon or something like that. I said that I paid $3.24 for this doll. So I don't remember how much I had paid for the bag in total, but I broke it down and said that I paid $3.24 for this particular doll. And we got positive feedback on this sale. Next up was an item that we've sold before. It was returned, we relisted it, and then it sold almost immediately when we got it back. And that was this Lexus branded Port Authority women's extra large windbreaker style jacket. And we had gotten this at a garage sale for $1. And it sold a second time for $25 even on best offer. The first time we sold it, if you remember from our last what sold video, the buyer purchased it and then opened a return stating that they bought it by mistake. And when we got it back, it was obvious that they had never even opened the package. They just received the package, opened the return, stuck the return label on it, and sent it back to us, which I thought was really, really weird. So we did have that original shipping cost of sending it out to that first buyer that we had to pay, but the second buyer seems happy with the item, and we never received any feedback from them one way or another, but not hearing from them tells me that they were probably happy with it. And so I think that the item is in its home now. Next up was a really pretty purse that we had gotten at a garage sale. This particular garage sale, she was selling off her collection of straw purses. And this was one of the prettiest ones, although it was not branded, which I always find things that are not branded to be kind of a hard sell. But this item got a lot of interest on eBay and sold really, really quickly. And it was a natural straw and leather purse. We had paid $2 for it at the garage sale, and it sold for $23.98 very quickly on offer to buyer. And we got positive feedback on that. Next up was, the brand was Horizon Group, and it was a kids felt placing. It had like a big felt mat that you opened up, and it was like a castle theme, and then it had a bunch of different castle themed items that you could move around on the placing, like knights and horses and things like that. And then it had a storage pocket where you could keep all of the different items from the placing inside of it. That we got in the Goodwill bins. We paid 67 cents for it, and it sold for $10.38 on offer to buyer. We got positive feedback on that item as well. Next up was Double Platinum by Kiss Volumes 1 and 2. They were cassettes and they were in like pristine condition. We got some cassettes at this garage sale and all of them looked like they had never been touched or listened to or played. And these were 2 of 4 Kiss cassettes that we got. Originally, I had all of the Kiss cassettes lotted up, but this buyer contacted me and asked if I would sell Double Platinum Volumes 1 and 2 to him separately for $20. And so I agreed to, because we had not gotten any interest in the lot of 4 cassettes that I had listed. I said I would if he would pay a $2 handling fee for the time and trouble that it would take for me to redo all of the listings. So he agreed. And that sold, and since then we've sold the other Kiss cassettes, so that was definitely worth it. We got positive feedback from him, and I'm not surprised since those things were in such great condition. And then immediately after that, we sold some other cassettes that we got from that same garage sale, and that was a lot of 3 1980s pop and R&B cassettes. And it included Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, and Milli Vanilli. So we paid $1.50 for all 3 of those. They were 50 cents each. And that lot sold for $14.99. And the buyer paid our full asking price. Next up was a really pretty dessert plate. They were mid-century modern plates that we had found in the Goodwill bins. This listing was just for 1 dessert plate. And the style was Santa Anita ware spirals, and they were like a pretty teal or aqua and brown color. And when we were in the Goodwill bins, my husband and I both went for these immediately at the same time because they were just so pretty. But several of the ones in the bins were broken or chipped, and we left those behind. We only took the ones that were in like perfect condition. And so they were in our store, in our eBay store, for a very long time before we had any interest in them. And then somebody purchased this one, which was the one that we had listed for the least amount of money. She purchased it on offer to buyer, which was $21.58. And then you'll see in an upcoming What Sold video that she purchased the rest of them after she received and I guess inspected this one. And some of the ones in the upcoming What Sold video sold for significantly higher money. So that was definitely worth picking up and holding on to and waiting for the right buyer to come along. Sometimes certain patterns of china can be very, very valuable. We do not pick it up very often because it's hard to store and it's hard to ship, but definitely in the bins, if you find something for cheap enough that that's not broken, we'll take a second look at it and see if it's worth our time. Next up was something we got in the Out of This World Curb Alert. It was a Time Life Nature series book called The Universe. We listed it for $9.99. It sold for our full asking price and we had paid $0. Next up was a pair of women's boots with like a hidden wedge heel. The brand was Forever. Unfortunately, they had like a little dust or something on the back of the heel, and I was trying to clean that off, and I guess I was cleaning a little too vigorously and I ended up damaging them. So I had to list them as new in box with a flaw. And we ended up selling them for $21.58 on offer to buyer. We had paid $3 at a garage sale. Next up was a Bath & Body Works travel size body spray in this, I think it was a retired scent, coconut mint drop. I don't have retired in the title, but I might not have had room for it. I went to a garage sale where a lady was selling off a lot of her old Bath & Body Works collection that she was just trying to downsize, and I tried to only pick up the scents that were retired. And so this one sold for $13.58 on offer to buyer. We had paid $2.22 per bottle that we had purchased from her. Next up was an item that belonged to my daughter. It was something that was designed for like a girl or a tween, younger girl, but it was a one size fits all. So any age person could have worn it. So I listed it as girls or women's open knit rainbow sparkle infinity scarf. it had no brand. So like I said earlier, selling something that's unbranded sometimes takes a long time, and this item took forever to sell. But it was cute, it didn't take up any space, so I just left it listed until it sold. And it did eventually sell for our full asking price of $12.99. Next up was one of the Junior Olympic archery pins that we found in the big box of pins and patches. We paid $5 for the entire box. And when we broke it down, each of the items in that box only cost us 3 cents. That's how many items were in there. So this item sold for $12.99. It was a white and gold target shaped pin. So next up was a 2016 Sonic Wacky Pack toy. It was new in the package, and it was a SpongeBob SquarePants toy. It was like a sand scooper. That we found in the Goodwill bins. We paid 67 cents for it, and it also sold for $12.99, which was our full asking price. It was kind of big. It was like big for a kid's meal toy, like that big. You know, usually they're significantly smaller like that, but we had to add a little bit in on that one for shipping. And also I find that Wacky Pack toy, people do not list Wacky Pack toys very often, and there are collectors of Wacky Pack toys. So although we tend to pick up any kids meal toys that are new in the package in the bins, because there are collectors of those out there, and even though they sell for low price, they sell regularly for us, and they sell enough that it's worth our time, and they're so easy to list, and they don't take up any space. Wacky Pack toys specifically, nobody else has them listed, and so those collectors, we usually sell the Wacky Pack toys quickly, definitely. Next up was something that we got in the Out of This World Curb Alert. Most of the items in that Curb Alert were space-related books, but there were also a few college textbooks in there, and this was one of those. This was a Greg College keyboarding and document processing book. It sold for our full asking price of $12.99. We had paid $0. The buyer did open a case on us stating that the item was not received, and it was just late. So the case was opened, the item was still listed as being in transit on USPS tracking. We had sent it via media mail. And so like a few days after the case was opened, the item arrived to him and everything was okay. But I was worried that we were gonna get negative feedback on that one because he just seemed unhappy, but nothing ever came of it. So that was good. Next up was a 100 pack of white cardboard embroidery floss bobbins. So they were just little cardboard holders that you could wrap your embroidery floss around. These were mine, it's not something I ever used or needed. I'm not sure where I got them, why I had them, where they came from. I was just cleaning out a bunch of my old sewing supplies and decided to sell these. And we listed them for $12.99, and they sold for our full asking price. Next up was a vintage Rustberry coffee mug. It had a rainbow stripe on it with like a heart cut out. And I picked it up just because I thought it was cute. I paid 50 cents for it at a garage sale, and it sold on offer to buyer for $19.98. Next up was a 36 by 24, so pretty big, original oil painting. It was signed by an artist whose name was the first initial L and the last name was Wood. And I did some research, couldn't find out any information about this artist. I did like a Google image search of the artwork, couldn't find anything. So if I had to guess, it was probably like a street artist or something like that. Unfortunately, this artwork had like a flaw. It had some fading, some sun damage on it, where it had probably another painting leaning up against it, and there was some sun fading from where the part that was exposed to the sun was exposed, and then the other part was not. So we disclosed that, and it took a long time to sell because of that, but it did eventually sell for $80, best offer. This came from the other business that we own, which is a custom picture frame shop. Next up was a pair of Abercrombie & Fitch women's jean shorts. They were high-rise style, and I got this from a lady that I buy from occasionally who I connected with on Nextdoor. I paid $2.94 for these, and they sold for $22 even on best offer. Next up was a pair of the Samsung Galaxy Buds that we got on the B-Stock liquidation palette. These sold for $56.68. We paid a little over I think around $3,100 all said and done for the palette in total. We got 75 items in total. That broke down to $47.18 per item. Next up was one of the Fantasy Novelty 1861 Civil War fake Confederate $100,000 bills. We sold another one of these in the last What Sold video. We found these in like a storage area at the other business that we own. I don't know where these came from, whose they were, probably left behind by a customer for a project many years ago. So anyway, we found these and decided to list them. I did research eBay's policy on listing fake money to make sure that we were in keeping with that, and we followed all of the rules about that. This one sold for our full asking price of $9.99. We still have 8 of these remaining. Next up was a pair of Old Navy athletic shorts. These were women's. They sold for $11.98. These belong to my daughter. Next up was a David Attenborough 3D 4-disc Blu-ray set. We got this at an estate sale. It was the estate sale that all of the items smelled really heavily of cigar smoke, and we tried to get the smell out of everything. We put them in like our little scent box, and it did not work at all. We definitely would not purchase something that's not washable from somewhere that had a heavy cigarette or cigar or any kind of smell like that again. But we did like fully disclose that in all of the DVD listings that we purchased from that estate sale, because primarily everything that we purchased was a DVD. Anything else that we purchased was washable. And we haven't had any complaints because we were very explicit in the listings and everywhere in the listings to make sure that the buyers knew that it was gonna smell. And we also discounted the price. So this one sold for $43.98, and we had paid $3 for it. And so far we haven't had any complaints. So keeping our fingers crossed, I think we still have like maybe 2 or 3 more DVDs and DVD sets to sell from that estate sale. We're just hoping that everybody who purchases makes sure to read the listing and knows what they're getting. The last item was a lot of 6 flower hair clips. These belong to me. It's just not something I wear anymore. They ranged in size and style, and I've had them forever, so I don't remember what the cost was. And they sold for $14.38 on offer to buyer. Last, I always go over the collectible cards for my husband's personal collection. This week we sold 6 cards for a total of $17.83. And that wraps up everything for the week of June 18th through 24th. Still was not a great week for us as far as sales go, but sales have been trending up. And now that we're in August, I've had a chance to look back at our sales from July, and July was one of the biggest months for us of 2022. So that's really good news, and we are looking forward to a strong Q4. Well, thank you so much for watching. If we've earned it, please make sure you subscribe today with the notification bells turned on so you don't miss any of our newest videos. And make sure to hit that like button. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.